starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house. Well, we're going to be talking about Robinhood and of course what the CEO said about tokenization. We know that tokenization is one of the mega themes for the growth and value of blockchain. And so we're going to have a bit of a overview of that today in today's live stream. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. Robinhood CEO, of course, says tokenization is like a freight train. It can't be stopped. And it's going to take over the monetary system. So some pretty bold words, but everything is looking pretty good at the moment for a takeoff phase over the last year, with Ethereum up over 300% in value. And we're going to check all those details out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll provide some of the links so you can keep track of it all, because it is going to be tsunami, and it's going to really pump crypto mega. It's going to be one of those mega themes as all the entities across the world start tokenizing on the blockchain. And so, yeah, which blockchain will win, who will dominate, all that sort of stuff. We'll quickly cover where we are with all that too. We've got Crypto Dan in the house there. Hey, Superman, good to see you, Crypto Dan. Welcome. And yeah, I've been really wanting to do some of these mega theme cryptos like tokenization. And so hopefully this is a good start towards that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Now, obviously, we have the social, so let's get into all that. If you haven't joined the Strategy Club, you can hit the QR code just below there, just below where I am on the video. You can join up, just over $1 a day to join up. You get all the intel flowing through there every day as I'm scouring the crypto internet. So definitely join up to that. Also, a lot of top tokens that are maybe worth considering for your portfolio. And you can check that out as well. And we also often have a lot of chats in there as well, so you can chat about everything. It is a private group inside the Discord. Standard Discord membership is $12.50 a month, and $35 for Strategy Club, so just over $1 a day. Great value, and join the rest of the strategy team in there. We even have a TA guru, and we've got other people that are really well knowledgeable too, so you'll find a great community in there. Now, let's get into it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, the bell, all that good stuff. But let's kick into the show and start talking about tokenization. Here, of course, is the Robinhood CEO. Robinhood, one of the three main on-ramps in the United States. And so let's hear what he has to say about how bullish tokenization is for crypto.
I think tokenization is like a freight train. It can't be stopped, and eventually it's going to eat the entire financial system. But a stable coin is a tokenized real-world asset. And when I explain to people what's the benefit of tokenizing a stock when you have a traditional stock, I think sometimes it's helpful to reason by analogy and say, for stable coins in the US, we talk about it as this is going to be the best way to get exposure to US assets, and it's going to further what we call US dollar dominance abroad. There's a lot of talk about how the US dollar has been for a long time the global reserve asset, but there's a lot of competition. And one way that we'd like to stay ahead is by making it the default way to get access to dollars in the digital crypto realm. So that's why stable coins have been such a priority in the US. And if you do own a dollar stable coin, it's sort of like the most basic tokenized asset. So in the same way that stable coins are a bucket of dollars that you manipulate tokens against, you can do that with stocks, you can do that with real estate and other real world assets, private stocks, which I really am interested in as well. And I think it'll become the default way to get exposure to US stocks outside the US. I think that's what makes it so exciting.
The question is, how soon will that happen? We talk about tokenizing real estate.
Yeah.
And Bloomberg ran a story today about how the Witkoffs had this idea of tokenizing President Trump's real estate. One, how feasible, how soon can that happen? And where do you go from there?
Yeah, tokenizing real estate mechanically looks very much like tokenizing a private company. you essentially buy, one property or a collection of properties in a company, then you tokenize that company, much like, you would tokenize a OpenAI or SpaceX.
It's not more complicated than tokenizing stocks when it comes to real estate. Is there greater complexity?
I mean, both of these things we've demonstrated, and in the case of stocks, it's live right now in the EU. So the only complexity remaining is really making sure that you have the appropriate licensure and the regulatory clarity in many jurisdictions. But I think that'll come. I think it started in Europe, but it'll expand to the rest of the world. And unfortunately, but realistically, US will probably be somewhat behind, definitely Europe, but US will probably be among the last economies to actually fully tokenize. But I think it's inevitable in the US as well.
All right, so that was the Robinhood CEO talking about tokenization, and that's like a freight train. It's can't be stopped, and it's going to take over the monetary system, the TradeFi, the traditional monetary system. One of the things, of course, he's alluding to not only stablecoins and stock trading, which we've seen recently with Kraken and NASDAQ, is also, of course, property is becoming a big deal. Now, there may be custodial issues around that, around ownership of title with tokenization, but all that stuff it will be worked out, and we already see that that's already starting to emerge. So we're going to talk about that too. We've got Frank White in the house there. Bang, bang, Pulse Gang. Good to see you, Frank White. Welcome to the chat, also. So let's jump into some of the data here. So here we are on app.rwa.xyz. So I'll post this in the chat if you guys want to deep dive into this, because obviously it's one of the mega themes, in fact, fundamental for the growth of the blockchain, and of course, all what's going to do for value in crypto moving forward as well, as TradeFi moves in, and basically the blockchain taking over much of the financial markets in that sense. So pretty big deal there. That is the website there, app.rwa.xyz. So very cool. Now, if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're on X, don't forget to smash the follow button at the top, and also hit the repost button. Really helps a lot there as well. Let's get the show out as we cover some of the mega themes moving forward, something I've been wanting to do for some time. So here you can see the total global market overview at the moment of RWA, or tokenized assets in the real world. And you can see the distributed asset value is 26.54 billion. And then the represented version of that is 346 billion. But we're going to stick to the distributed asset value. And of course, there's got a nice little definition there, RWA, or tokenized assets, using the blockchain as a distribution layer, enabling on-chain investors to subscribe, hold, and manage assets directly through their own wallets or custodians. So there's a number of ways there. So that is 26.54 billion. And of course, if we have a look onto the right here, we can see that is dominated by US Treasuries, right? So US Treasuries are $10.9 billion of that at the moment. And it's just the beginning, guys, just the beginning. We know we've got the Genius Act that's being worked through. The regulation should be done by July this year, and that's intended on being enacted in January 27. So stablecoin boom is going to be pretty big. We know that that stablecoins that are going to come on to Ethereum and other blockchains will have to be backed by US Treasuries. So we're expecting an absolute explosion there, and that's going to benefit the US dollar as well, and dominate another market, the whole financial market with crypto. It's a very smart move, and of course, President Trump there is leading the way there on that too. So it's pretty exciting. This is just the beginning. I mean, these numbers are going to blow up. We've seen a growth in the numbers over last year, up 313% just for Ethereum alone. And Ethereum, of course, is dominating this side of tokenization at the moment. We're going to look at some of the little breakdowns with the numbers of tokenized assets as well. But you can see here on the overall chart, the US Treasuries, 10.8 billion. Let me just get the latest there, 10.9 billion. Commodities, 5.8 billion. Private credit, 2.8 billion. Institutional alternative funds, 2.3 billion. Corporate bonds, 1.9 billion. Non-US government debt, 1 billion. And then you've got sub 1 billion things with public equity, which is going to blow up, right? That's going to absolutely blow up. We've heard announcements around around Kraken and Nasdaq, things like that. They're going to tokenize all the stocks. I mean, it's a big deal. We got private equity as well, 316 million. I think that's going to be absolutely explosive too. There's lots of top things that you can't get access to, like SpaceX, like Tether, things like that potentially could all get put on the market. Real estate is 290 million right now, so that's going to be a massive. That is going to actually explode, I think, up. Once it starts happening, it really starts running away. And then we also have actively managed strategies there at 49 million. So these are all early numbers, even after a year, even after 300% growth. It really is on takeoff here. We're really getting there, and the Genius Act, of course, going to help a lot with that. And the Clarity Act is going to be the ultimate, right? It's going to be the ultimate regulation for the market, securities, commodities, things like that. Who's the regulator? SEC, CFTC, etc. There's lots of things to happen there around custodial. It's game on, right? So hopefully we'll get that maybe before the middle of the year. We'll see. April would be pretty cool, but we're tracking that. Certainly a battle between the banks and DeFi over yield at the moment going on with that. But we've had pretty good White House support coming out on the right side of that and making a stand for the new financial markets. And if you guys remember, some of the Trump family, particularly while the Democrats are in power, and associated banks and things like that, were actually debanking them and causing them a lot of trouble. We also saw that in the UK with Nigel Farage. This is what these people do in the Democrats and on the left side of politics is go to authoritarianism, right, and use those tools like that. So this is counter that, of course, in crypto. That's what we're looking forward to. So pretty cool. Now, let's have a look at that total value split up. You can see that split up there in a pie chart that I just read out. So US Treasury is dominating, commodities coming in second, and private credit third. But we're expected to see a lot of booming in the public equities, almost at $1 billion. And I no doubt the property as well will boom. Lots of cool things happening. Now, you can actually see on here some of the new asset classes. So we've obviously got stable coins and US Treasuries, which we've sort of highlighted in that pie chart. But we've actually got credit that's been added and real estate has been added. And of course, we're expecting huge growth in tokenization there. And that means that, if you have a house, you could, theoretically get the ownership of that house tokenized, and maybe you have a million house units or something like that on the blockchain, and someone can own, 5% of that and buy 5%, that sort of thing. So really, ownership of the real world assets is going to be absolute boom, and all the financial assets as well. So not just real world, but digital assets that are already in traditional finance, like on the stock market. And we've recently seen Nasdaq team up with Kraken on that. So Kraken Exchange. So some big things happening in the space. So let's jump down. We're going to go all down through the asset classes and jump over to the networks and just break that down a little bit, because obviously that's what people will be looking forward. Which chain is going to be the winning chain, right? Well, we already know that Ethereum is already the front runner by value. And you can see at the moment, out of that 26.5 billion distributed asset value that you can see in the top left there, we can see that on the chart there, we can see the chain of the blockchain, right? So we can see Ethereum at the moment, 15.1 billion of that is Ethereum, BNB at 2.6 billion, Liquid Network at 1.8 billion, Solana at 1.7, and Solana is obviously one that people often call a competitor in some ways. Certainly good for payment rails, but question over stability and security, right? Which Ethereum's already proved it's pretty robust. But Solana, of course, has been stopped many times. So there's still questions over, SVM chains and things like that. We've got Stellar at 1.3 billion, and then we go sub 1 billion. We've got Arbitrum, Avalanche, Polygon, all around, above $500 million, let's say, on those ones. So those are kind of where we are at the moment on a lot of these chains. And you see that Ethereum is completely dominating right now. And like I say, it's been something like 300% growth over the last year. So it's a real takeoff there. Now, let's just scroll down here a little bit further. We can actually see some interesting net flows going on as well with Arbitrum, Solana, BNB, compared to Ethereum down here, which has actually been negative recently. So we'll get a bit of a move around there. But on value, Ethereum is the dominant one. You can see that in the pie chart there. It is a number one, numero uno. BNB second, Liquid third, and Solana is 1.7. Now, comparing Solana, because recently Solana's transaction numbers were pretty similar, right? So if we go down to this network table, and we can see that Ethereum is top with the RWA or tokenized value at 15.5 billion. We actually scroll over to the actual RWA holders, And if we go have a look at that, that's excludes stable coins. We can see that Ethereum's at 153,592, which is up 8% over the last 30 days. But look at Solana coming down. Solana, look at that. It is sitting there too with a pretty big number at 155,000. So even though they're competitive, it's just ahead of Ethereum with the numbers of RWA holders, tokenized asset holders. Value-wise, Ethereum is still king. 15.5 billion versus 1.7. So there are some people obviously in Solana camp thinking, that's going to turn around. They're certainly getting some big deals done with the old Solana. And so we're going to see how that grows over time. But anyway, Ethereum is going to be the dominant one, I believe, for a lot of that stuff, with a lot of announcements that we've had, because it is the more secure chain over time. So that is all may depend on the asset class that is being tokenized, because if you're into more gaming, into more meme coins, then Solana is a good place. Maybe some things are not necessary as key, but if you really want that battle tested stuff, like a lot of the institutions will want, you want to go to Ethereum, right? You want to go to Ethereum there for that. So we've got stables and USD treasuries there. So that's some of the overviews there on the markets right now. So for 25 or 26.5 billion is the distributed asset value, and of course represented asset value is much bigger, 346 billion there, and total RWA holders 663,000 based on this site, which is probably the best site on it at the moment. So that's some of the cool stuff. We do see some other stuff on here like platforms, giving you some idea of that as well. We're going to go to the pie chart. We can see some of the key ones on here that make up this value. We've got Tether Holdings, 3 billion, securitized there. We've got 3.3 billion. We've got Paxos at 2.6 billion. Ondo at 2.5 billion. Recently been a lot into tokenization there. I think they've got a long way to go, so they're going to be doing a lot of extra value there. You got Maple and you got Circle down here as well, at 1 point, almost 2 billion there. So you've got some key players in the mix there, along with Binance at 1.4 on the platforms. So those are going to be some pretty interesting growth areas. Not surprising to see the stable coins right up there, right? But US Treasuries is king. We're going to come back to it in a minute. One of the recent things they've added is asset managers, which is pretty interesting. So the people actually managing, obviously, we've got some of the ones that we expect, like BlackRock and Circle. We know BlackRock is going into tokenization big time as well. They start pretty small. They do some, examples, some small amounts, and then they just scale really fast from there. So we're expecting that to really continue to ramp up. As you guys know, BlackRock is the number one capital management firm in the world. I think it was a 20 trillion, something like that. And so they're going up pretty huge. They're already at $500 million right now. Circle number 2 there, and you got Paxos and a few others down the line there. So that's on the asset managers at the moment. And of course you got Tether at number 1. Not surprising there. Tether, you got Circle down there, you got BlackRock. So all the ones you'd expect to be there, and then some of the rising stars, Ondo and others as well. So that is kind of a quick overview of the current place of tokenization in the main blockchains. Obviously, there's 33 blockchains represented here, but we also got some of the key aspects here. So we're going to quickly zoom on US Treasuries, which is the biggest one right now, and we can see that 11.13 billion is on in the Treasury category. It's the number 1, 55,000 holders, and look, I mean, almost half of it's on Ethereum, $5.4 billion. And then BNB chain 2.4. We know BNB is a very centralized controlled chain, and then Solana number 3 there. So Solana, it's going to be interesting to see Solana. I just think that it's inferior wise on the the robustness of the chain. Ethereum hasn't had that problem, and Ethereum's having some pretty major upgrades, obviously with Vitalik and the new roadmap that he's got set forth for privacy and value creation, as well as to deal with quantum risk, right? Quantum hacks from quantum computers. So that's kind of where we are with that on treasuries. Stablecoins obviously going to be a bigger deal as we go, because both of these are going to explode, right? Stablecoin treasuries going to explode, and we've also got Ethereum there dominating this one as well. With the stablecoin market, this is going to blow up, this stablecoin. And like I say, we've got the Genius Act moving through to July for regulations, enactment by January 27. So watch this category, absolutely going to be explosive to the upside, right? To the upside. Credit is going to be growing massively too. At the moment, it's 2.4 billion on Ethereum, but everyone's coming, guys. All the credit stuff's coming over the chain, and we're already almost at 5 billion on distributed value. And then, of course, we're going to get every category here is going to start blowing up. Institutional funds as well. We should get that. Ethereum dominating that too, 1.4 billion. That's absolutely going to blow up, particularly when we get the Clarity Act through, right? It's game on. And then, of course, stocks. We're already seeing stocks starting to move. This is going to be massive. We saw the SEC chair talking about this all happening within 2 years, but we already see a big deal being done between NASDAQ and Kraken, tokenizing all the stuff on that chain. So it's going to be a pretty big deal with that. So we've got institutions like BlackRock, Franklin Templeton coming, JP Morgan, of course, with their tokenization money market funds launching already in 2025. So it really is game on with a lot of the stuff that we're experiencing. So it's going to be really, really fun to see this moving forward. Obviously, we have Ondo Finance, Kraken, X stocks as well trading on Ethereum. So you're going to have all the stocks trading 24/7, not just 6.5 hours a day, 5 days a week on NASDAQ, but now 24/7 essentially. So on the traditional markets, you have like pre-market, you have aftermarket prices, and now we're going to be getting it's 24/7 trading. It's really a game changer, long overdue, of course. And it's crypto takeover time, right? So pretty awesome. Obviously, money market funds with China AMC and Fidelity. Everybody's coming, right? Everybody is starting to come to the old chain. We already see a little Blue's Clues around this as well, with the institutional buyers of shares in the big DATs, digital asset treasuries like Strategy and Bitmine, which I covered earlier today in the live stream. We're getting tons of institutions. I think it's like 550 institutions that are bought into Bitmine Immersion as it builds out its position as the 5% alchemy of Ethereum. And they're all getting ready because they know this tokenization wave is coming, right? It is like a freight train. It is unstoppable, as Robinhood CEO says, and it's taken over the monetary system. And you can see these numbers already up 300% or so on Ethereum. And this is just the beginning, 26 billion. What's this going to be in a year's time, guys? 26 billion, trillions, right? So let's have a look where this might look like in the future, right? So we've looked at where it is at the moment. We've talked about quite a few players that are coming in, making this happen, and some of the regulations there with around the Clarity Act kind of being that final big move. And we've got the Genius Act on the move as well. So let's have a look at some of the expectations around here. So I've got a nice little forecast here, RWA tokenization forecast from the 24th of February. And you can see that it's pretty big, right? So it's got at the time here, this was a couple of weeks back now, maybe 2 weeks, we're at 25 billion, obviously 26.5 billion now. But McKinsey, which does a lot of analytical work, research, has got by 2030, the market could be 2 trillion. 2 trillion. We've got Citi GPS says the market could be 4 trillion, so twice that much. And then we've got Roland Berger says that the tokenized market size could be 10.9 trillion. We're only 26.5 billion right now. And you're talking about a 10.9 trillion. I mean, it's absolutely ginormous, guys. The amount of expansion and X's of the tokenized market is massive, right? Massive. You've got, in terms of business opportunity, representing asset values tracked on public blockchains, you got the total value at the moment, 362 billion is the representative side, and that could jump to 16.1 trillion, says BCG. On the demand on a broader system, representing RWA and stablecoins, including deposits and trade finance, at the moment that's worth around 660 billion in 2026. That could blow up to almost 19 trillion based on Ripple and BCG research, or even Standard Charter, up to $30 trillion, right? So that's kind of by 2030. The maximum transferable market for on-chain really is kind of unlimited. But if we use existing financial markets, you're talking about maybe all the world's asset classes, maybe $750 trillion. Some people have that much higher, maybe up to $1.3 quintillion. We don't want to get too crazy, but you can definitely see that these are pretty bullish numbers. And of course, some of the components might be different between the research projects, but that is the forecast up to 2030 or so. So pretty huge. So some big numbers. So on one report talks about 2 trillion, another about 10 trillion, and up to 30 trillion. The gap is not high, but usually it's big happens because of different counting different things. Pretty huge stuff. So you can see a pretty big deal there. Some of the forward cast there. At the moment, you've got the dominance of US Treasuries, which we just showed on the other side, and commodities 5.3, but pretty huge. The McKinsey one had 2 trillion by 2030. It excludes cryptocurrency stablecoins. And then you got Citi GPS there at 4 trillion. Roland Berger there, 10 trillion there. BCG ADEX there, 16 trillion. Really is pretty big depending on which classification you're looking at there. They've even got Deloitte's in there rising to 4 trillion by 2035. So some pretty big numbers, guys, in the mix there for the forecast. But in any case, we're only at 26 billion, and we're talking about potentially going, 10, 20, 30 trillion, even on the low side, with the potential market being transferable, probably up in the 750 trillion mark, if everything kind of came over, right? Bond markets, equity markets, money markets, all that sort of stuff. So, and property, properties are potentially uncapped as well. And so, yeah, it's huge. It's huge. So if this whole switch in monetary system happens as it does look like it's setting up for, wow, we're so damn early, aren't we? Even if it only gets to 5% or 10% of the potential, it's a mega re-rate in value. And as I talked about earlier today, with the gold market's gone to 40, 50 trillion dollars, and the current crypto market's 2.5 trillion. Let's say we even get to half of gold, it's a 25 trillion, so it's a 10x just to get to there for the whole market, right? So 10x, and that's unexpected in the next cycle, right? So pretty exciting stuff. And if we do re-rate to gold or even more, particularly even for Bitcoin alone, you're talking about some big dollar values there for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You start getting to those big numbers. So million plus for Bitcoin, 60 plus, 80 plus for Ethereum. I mean, there's big numbers involved here. Now, the question, of course, is total network value. Will Ethereum, with this tokenization advantage, right, over Bitcoin, will it flip Bitcoin in value? Well, there's a good chance it could happen. And will we care so much about the percentage ratio? We know the percentage ratio is about 2.9% at the moment with Ethereum to Bitcoin. Could that flip? I mean, I think the all-time high is about 8%. If we flip that, we're going to get to 25%, 50%, and just run away because of all this extra value that's in smart contracts on Ethereum and potentially other chains like Solana, BNB, and Base Chain. So pretty crazy stuff, isn't it? Pretty crazy stuff, and we're all here early. Isn't it wonderful? It's so good. But things are looking really primed. Like I say, we already see the digital asset treasuries already positioning themselves with this, and the stock market repositioning within those treasuries, and they're heading towards their targets, right? So Strategy MSTR is heading towards 1 million tokens. Had a massive buy announcement today of 17,000 Bitcoin. Really massive jump there in the purchases there. Very big deal, about $1.3 billion buy. And then we saw also Bitmine Vision coming up with 61,000, 60,000 Ethereum. And they have got even more cash, $1.2 billion, and are looking, potentially saying that the bottom of the market for Ethereum maybe this week, so that's pretty crazy. And therefore they could be doing a big buy, right? Big buy could be 450,000 flaming Ethereum. Remember, we've got about 120.7, I think it is, maybe 122.8, depending on what numbers you're looking at that I've seen. But it's huge. We've got staking over 30.5%. We've got about 3 million or so Ethereum sitting in the staking queue. Everyone wants to get in on this action, guys, because they know tokenization is going to be massive. And I just showed you with the current value, 26.5 billion, and the future value potential of tens of trillions, if not hundreds of trillions over time, maybe further down the field. It is absolutely massive re-rate, and you guys are all in the best vehicles here, sitting on Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, some of the majors, as well as, of course, the more speculative leverage players like Pulse Chain and things, which also have a lot of tie-in and connections to those underlying chains like Ethereum. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times for where this could all go. So congratulations for being here. It reminds me of some of the talk that you hear in the street, right? The economy is getting harder, right? To make money is getting harder. We've got a lot of Marxist governments that are wrecking societies, right? Indebting them, making, flooding the labor markets, really botching up everything. They're basically botching up everything. And they just, when they say they give a solution, they pour more fuel on the fire. They make it harder for people to get going. The middle class starts shrinking, and the people under more pressure, the societies become more unsafe as well. And so you got all these hard, difficult things, and you're trying to make a buck, and then you get people let left over complaining about the boomers having all the good times. They're the ones that could buy, property in the 60s and 70s, and then suddenly they're worth millions of dollars, all that sort of stuff. They're the ones with all the wealth. And so people complaining about that. And now it's hard to do any of that, hard to buy a property. They're so expensive, hard to get a job even because so much competition. And we're seeing a shrinking of that with AI. So the AI boom making it even more difficult as a lot of big firms start getting rid of even middle to upper class, professionals. So that it doesn't matter where you are along the chain, you're getting hit. And so it's getting even harder. So what does crypto offer? Well, apparently it's offering the chance of a lifeline of the lifetime, if you think about it, with the tokenization, the stablecoin boom, and of course the crypto takeover of the blockchains, right? Particularly the majors that are here as well, like Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Base Chain, etc. So we're also going to have some really good complementary chains. Obviously, Chainlink around information and data. Data truth is always the holy grail, right? We see a lot of problems with AI technology where they are all rigged. They're all rigged. All the data's rigged. So even though that the agents can be very smart, they're smart on dirty data, right? It's bad data. So we're seeing a lot of that come out. And so what is the most truthful AI engine? Well, maybe Grok is one of the closest ones to that. We certainly see ChatGPT being corrupted. And so, it's really, really a difficult place to operate with that as well. So we're going to be seeing the opportunity of a lifetime realized here. You guys hear it all at the right time, and you can thank yourself, pat yourself on the back, and just make sure you pick up the right assets, right? Some of the majors, if you want a bit of speculative play, maybe a few speculative assets as well. So you still got to make sure they're good probabilities, and that the timing's going to suit as well. But man, we're just at the beginning. It's going to be truly, truly glorious. And we look forward to Valhalla, I guess. Not really Valhalla, but we look forward to good times. So yeah, we got some really cool stuff happening, guys. It's all coming together. You just got to be more patient over the next 2, 3 years. And we're going to get a lot of action this year, a lot of action next year, a lot of action the year after, specifically during the Trump age, right? The golden age. Trump is having to deal with a lot of the high risks in the world. Fortunately, somebody came along to actually deal with those. It was decades in the coming, and so unfortunately, we've had to have volatility with that. But it is actually better in the long run, right? It's actually better in the long run. So we're getting a safer world. It's actually quite remarkable. And so that's going to be good because safer world means that we can have a bigger financial boom, and of course we can enjoy it as well. So some good stuff happening there. So yeah, awesome stuff happening. Tokenization. I hope that was a good overview of where things are at right now, where things are going in the future, and some of the assets you can see obviously to buy, pick up probably Ethereum, Solana, and things like that. Just makes sense in the backdrop of these mega themes. And then once that Clarity Act gets through, man, it's all game on. Everyone's coming. But they're not waiting around, right? They're coming already. They're buying the DAOs, buying the DATs, I should say. All the stock institutions, they're buying, they're tokenizing already, and they have plans to do that. So in a year's time, this 26 billion is going to be very small. We're going to be probably up in the trillion plus next year. It's going to be truly, truly glorious. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Tokenization. We might deep dive into another mega theme on the next show, an extra bonus show for the day. But it was a lot of fun going through there. And yeah, if you we got Tin Top announced that. Hey, good to see Tin Top. Woohoo! Hey, what's up, Hexkins? Good to see Tin Top as all. Yeah, if we've done a lot of great coverage on a lot of great topics recently, the last couple of days. You can go check all that stuff out. We have covered all the Richard Hart Pulse Chain calls. We've covered Emmett Farm, Top Farm on Pulse Chain with high yields. We've covered Liberty Swap, Liberty X, the big frontier intent-based trading on Pulse Chain. I mean, we're so lucky to have that. So good. And, we've covered tokenization today, which has been a lot of fun too. So good stuff's happening, guys. Keep up with it. If you want to keep up with it, you're really busy. I do strongly encourage you to join our strategy club. You can see the QR code just below me there, and also you can find the links in the video description. You can join up just over $1 a day, so it's really great value. And I put all the intel in there as I'm reading it on the market. So pretty much do that every day, and you're getting all the best stuff there flowing through. So definitely join up for that. And also, we also talk about some key token targets or listed targets like BMNR, MSTR, things like that, that you could potentially participate to. There are many ways of leveraging in the old crypto market. Sometimes it's through custodial dApps, things like that. And yeah, it's a fun time. So definitely join up to that. And there's you can join the links there. If you haven't joined, of course, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to follow on X. And I think we had some new members in Discord and Telegram recently. So a really big shout out to all the new members. It's really great to see everybody as well. And we've been getting a lot of feedback from project teams on the live show. So I really appreciate that. And also on influencers as well. So I really appreciate that too. And we do see a step up recently in the Pulse Chain Monster thread. We saw, getting a lot more streamers streaming. So there's a real turn in sentiment in crypto generally, as well as in Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain, of course, performing pretty well over the last sort of 7 to 10 days. And so there's a real nice sentiment change there happening too. And that's all during a war, which seems to have been dampened down a bit now. So yeah, fun times ahead. All right, I'll look forward to another daily show tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this bonus show on tokenization. It really is a huge deal, and it's going to create a lot of value for all of us that are watching and involved in crypto right now. And if you want to get that advantage, join Strategy Club today. And of course, if you want to become just a general member of Discord, you can go into the Whoop store, and that's only $12.50 a month. So there's another alternative for you as well. We do have the only crypto helpline in Discord, which is kind of cool. So you can use that if you need it as well, and also a lot of resources. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll catch you again tomorrow. Man, just loving where we are in crypto right now. It does really feel amazing. If Tom DeMark is right, this week could be the low in Ethereum, and we could see a big, ginormous buy from a Bitmine, maybe within the next sort of 7 to 10 days. Keep a lookout for that, guys. Could be huge. All right, take care. Bye for now. Catch you on tomorrow's show.